Can't hear us though.
All right, welcome everybody to the April 9th special budget meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilman Brian Locks.
Councilman Brian Locks present.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan, 1st District, present.
Councilwoman Michelle Coletti is absent. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali, 3rd District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan.
Councilman Edward McMillan, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan, 6th District, present.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker is absent. Councilman Christopher Vargo.
Councilman Christopher Vargo, District 8, present.
Councilwoman Katie Muller.
Councilwoman Katie Muller, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone is absent, and Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Nicholas Pascal, at large, present.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Perfect. At this time, I will have the clerk read the call of the special meeting.
The West Haven City Council Finance Committee / Council as a whole will conduct budget meetings on Mayor Dorinda Boer's recommended budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. And our first meeting is tonight, Tuesday, April 9th, 7:30 for the Finance Department.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will hand the council over to Chairman Akbarali, Chairwoman Akbarali, conducting the budget process under Finance as a whole. Chairwoman Akbarali.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Taylor, would you like to come up and present your budget to us, please? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'll say that for the tape. Hello, everyone. So the finance budget, I gotta find it. 49. Yeah, I was gonna say 50, but that was 50 was the departments with the. Basically, what we've got going on here is we did a little reconfiguring of the department. We have added a payroll manager, which Mayor came before you and said we needed to add this position. As with every other department in the city, we budget at the top step, which gives us the ability to hire in or cover for whatever might happen during the year. It also helps us out if there are some vacancies, as you know, because we try to keep our budget for overtime low, and therefore if somebody has to be paid time and a half to cover for somebody else, then it's available. You see an increase in the 25 versus 24. The finance director is flat, the assistant is flat. When you work your way down here, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong columns. We see the increase on payroll manager, $95,000, which was the top step, of course, for that role. We've eliminated the position chief accountant internal auditor, and so that comes out. We have added an internal auditor. We've not started interviewing for that because that would be approved in this budget. A senior accountant we've just hired. It was wonderful. We found a young lady. No D in her name, but there is a Pascal. Anyways, Michelle Pascal. She just started, and I think she's going to work out great. But you can see that on there. That is one of the new roles that we established this year. And then the next change you'll see is the junior accountant. That is a role we're currently interviewing for. That was brought out of, we had a junior accountant / budget analyst on here. We've eliminated that in favor of just a flat out junior accountant. And then the payroll assistant, we've reduced from 2 to 1. So the payroll department is still budgeted for two people, one at a higher salary than the other. So that's just the high level on. Any questions on the positions, the roles?
I had a couple questions.
Sure.
Thank you. So for the internal auditor and senior accountant, the question I have is, are they splitting a salary for those two positions?
I don't think we'll be able to cover them with the salary that was there for that single position. But what we've done is we split that into two positions. Yes.
Okay, so,
It wasn't feasible. It never worked when it was one person.
right. Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm.
And also, for the junior accountant budget analyst,
Mhm.
we're getting rid of that position and putting in a junior accountant.
Yeah,
I noticed that in their job title, it looks like less responsibility for junior accountant, but they're getting paid more, over $7,000 more. So I just wanted to know
that-
how that happened.
that reflects changes that have occurred so far as the contracts, et cetera, in that role. It was rated the same class within the union.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay, perfect. Does anybody else on the council have any questions? Councilman Vargo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Really, really well, thanks.
We hired a new finance director recently, correct?
Yes, we did.
Is his salary going to be the 153 that's budgeted?
I don't know what the mayor and he worked out. I believe it will be that or something less. I think we had to go to the top with his experience.
Is it going to be more than 153?
I do not believe so.
Okay. And
Mayor's been careful about that.
can you speak to the 36% increase in repair and upgrades? I saw on the backup documents that we got that is for aging furniture and contingency. Can you just give a little bit more of a explanation on that? It's a large jump.
The $10,000.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that's not 30.
No.
Page 51.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The financial services. That's what I meant.
Yeah, so financial services has been a mishmash over the years, and we have we've been capturing a lot of things there. We're actually going, if you look at the 23 actual to the is 738,9,000. Our projection for 24 is 806. I'm just got to squint to see that number. 806,000. And our recommendation is showing up at, I'm sorry, that's a mis. Our recommendation should not be 330, 340.
No, your department request was 440, and the mayor's
440.
recommended was 340.
I thought she increased it. I'm sorry, we'll have to look at that. So it's actually a reduction if you look at it versus the actual. And what was going on there was we had a number of items that were being charged to there that, for example, we have $250,000 of Robert Half consulting fees that we're hitting there this year that were never budgeted, and so that's coming out year over year. And then that's really the biggest thing that was in there. The other thing is the next thing down was $160,000 worth of security. The finance department was eating the security budget for the guards that sit downstairs on the first floor, and that's been transferred to building.
So what's driving the 90,000 increase from 24 to 25?
So budget to budget. Sorry, I did not perform that analysis, but I can tell you exactly what's in there. I'm not sure why that budget was there. I'm sorry, I'll have to find out. But our audit is going to cost us $180,000. Our actuary 60. Our Munistat services, which is our financial services, he helps us with our bonding and debt service, is another 25. There is a bit of contingents in there for $54,000. And we also are paying for some of our ADP through there, some of our special services if we need additional help with the payroll.
Okay, and then just generally speaking on the positions, you're removing the junior accountant, budget analyst, and we're keeping the budget coordinator. Are there job functions that position, the junior accountant / budget analyst, needs to do that you're now shifting to somebody else?
The junior accountant is going to catch all the junior accountant type things. I didn't really think we needed a junior budget analyst. We have a budget coordinator, and that should be enough. So that person will handle the budget items.
Is that the position that makes the monthly reports that you give to us?
Monthly reports and this document in your hand.
Okay. I am good for now. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you don't mind, I'm going to look into that. Why we went to 440 to 340. I'm not seeing that in my notes. So I'll, if you don't mind, I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you, Councilman Vargo. And Mr. Taylor, I had a question regarding item 1210010 on page 51, other repairs and maintenance upgrades. I
Yes.
didn't know, I don't see a list, but can you speak to those repairs and maintenance?
Yeah,
upgrades?
it's we started a big safety campaign here, and we've added the risk manager who is now in this budget as well. It wasn't in there before. Used to be in Corp Council. We decided we would add some money there for safety equipment, for ergonomic upgrades for the employees, and we did have our first ergonomics training a couple months ago. There have been a lot of people requesting new chairs out of that, and I think it's a good thing. If we can stop people from having hurt backs and going to the doctor, and possibly having lost time injuries, then I think we've really moved the needle.
Great. Would you be able to email me a list of any upgrades that have taken place
It
up
is
to this
purely, I cannot. It is purely, we need to put something there, and it is.
budget? So it's just there for safety purposes?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
safety, and we really didn't cost out things. We do know
Okay.
people might need peripheral stuff for their computers. They might need, to raise them up. Who knows? We might need a standing desk for somebody.
I was just asking for
Yeah.
examples. So
Yeah,
from the past.
these are my examples.
No,
yeah.
that's perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
What point of order, Madam Chair?
Absolutely.
Are we going to limit our questions for right this second to just the comptroller budget? Because I do have questions on other general city expenses. So when would you
No.
like to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. we
You want
can-
to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Are
Does
you
anybody
finished
else-
with this page? Or? No.
Councilman Donovan.
Dave, thanks again. I know what you have to go through with this. The only question under the safety program, it says new, right? I know you tied that in.
Oh, you know what? It's funny. That's where that belongs.
It's like because it's zeroed out, and I'm all for
I
saying
thought-
yes to that. But I mean,
I think I put it on the wrong line. Yeah, see, we haven't spent on the other repairs and maintenance upgrades. My intention was to put that on the safety line.
so the 10,000 would leave,
Yes,
and then
there's
go
your
down
first motion. If
to,
you,
right. Well, that's what
yeah.
I was asking. That so
Yeah,
so you're looking to get rid of the 10,000 for
yeah, we haven't been spending that, and I really wanted to earmark it for safety upgrades.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I was big safety.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No. That's why we're here, right?
Mhm.
To make sure. Okay, so we want to. And that safety program will be the 10,000 is what
Yeah, that's what we intend to spend that money on.
All right, thank you. I'm all set, Madam Chair. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Councilman Locks.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Dave, when it comes to the 10.1, 10.8, 12.5, 6.9, and 6.9% increases, what's the rationale for those increases? Why wouldn't it be like 2.5, 3.5%, more in line with the CPI? What's driving those significant increases?
What are you looking at?
So I'm looking at page 50. So I'm looking at your finance manager, your accounts clerk, junior financial analyst, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of positions here.
Yeah,
Budget
so what happened last year is the 1103 union added a step after the budget. And so a lot of people got a big increase this year. And on top of what their raise was, in fact, we all benefit from that. And then so then there'd be another 2.5% above that at the end. These are all contractual changes. The 681 had huge increases. They added another step, and they made up for some lost time. I don't think they'd had a raise in 3 or 4 years, maybe longer.
1103. What do you 1103? What are you referring?
That's the management union.
Got it.
First 5 people on the list.
First 5. What is that management union?
What do you mean?
AFL, Teamsters. What is
I
it?
should
Any
know
idea?
because I'm in it. It's CWA.
CWA. Thanks.
Don't ask me what that stands for, please. Is it? Yes, that's it.
That's it. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Any other questions? Chairman?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't know what you guys came up with, but can I ask a general question that's not in the comptroller budget?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Can you just speak to the general terms of what's going on with insurance right now and the utilities that we're seeing in the budget?
We had an interesting year with utilities. We budgeted quite an increase last year based on what we were seeing in the market. However, it has not come to pass, and especially with electricity, and you're seeing a lot of savings in the projection versus what we budgeted. For next year, we're bidding it out. We have had indications from the folks who would sell us our electricity that there will be further reductions in next year. So we have accounted for that in our budget. On, sorry, what was the other thing you asked? Insurance. I can't remember what we put there. I'm sorry, I have to go find it. Page 98. Thank you. So starting on page 98, yeah. So there's a confusing thing that happens with these line items. We only have one line item. Our insurances, general liability, our health, our self-funded health insurance, and our workers' comp flow through the same account as our premium payments. So it's a little confusing. It would probably behoove us to split those out. So what happens is we'll pay our premiums. Plus, we have a problem with our internal service funds. So we have budgeted increases to these year over year to get our internal service funds to fully funded. And our goal is in I think it's another 3 years to have them fully funded. And so that's why these look a little confusing.
For the fiscal year that we're looking at right now, FY25, what do you feel is coming up that can greatly impact that, that we should be looking forward to as a council? Are there any contracts being negotiated, anything of that nature?
We just renegotiated our criminal liability. It doubled, but it went from $10,000 to $20,000. So it's the shock and awe. Anyway, so that wasn't a big deal, but we are planning to at least test the market in the upcoming 12 months. I can't remember exactly when we would go out to bid. We just paid the criminal. I'm not sure when the other ones come due, but that's the benefit of us having a risk manager in my hand, not having to do it personally. But he'll be taking that out to bid. We are planning to look at even the PMA, who's doing a marvelous job for us. But, it just makes sense to test the waters and see what else is out there. And so we plan to take that out as well. And, just see what else is available.
The mayor had spoke last night about a waste contract that's coming up. When is that coming due? Is that this budget we're looking forward to, or is it the budget we're in now?
I believe it's this budget.
Okay. All right. And we think that whatever we come up with, it will impact 25 as well.
Yeah, whatever we do there will impact 25. On some of the other ones, it'll be a half year. I think utilities will be like a half year impact on what we're able to do there. The waste contract, I think, is coincident with our fiscal year.
Right.
That's a tipping fees. You might have heard that term. And that is an estimate. It's kind of based on what Rob Sandell has been in contact with the vendors, and that's their kind of estimate right now on where they think they're going to flush out.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You're very welcome. Does anybody else have any questions? Councilman Varga?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask a question on the liability and then jump around just a little bit. On page 98, the general liability, you said that singular line item is comprises of various different types of insurances. Does that also?
No, that is the general liability insurance.
Okay. So what line item were you discussing that it includes premiums and?
Oh, this will be the general liability premiums as
Gotcha.
well as our internal service fund for general liability. As you can see, we're projecting quite a lot more spending than we had budgeted in the prior year. And there's just sort of a modest increase from there to make sure we fund our internal service fund.
Okay. And then for the general liability premiums, I'm sorry, maybe you just answered this question, I'm just not understanding. So you're looking at a 124% increase from the budget of this year. What's driving that?
I'll have to get back to you. Sorry, it's driven from the actual.
Okay. Where would I find in the budget how much we have budgeted for claim payouts? Is that line item or is that a different line?
That would be it. Then there's also general liability losses, just a little bit lower than there. You can see this would be for our crashes and things like that.
So the general liability losses, the line 54230, that's if city vehicle is damaged or something happens to the building. But 54030 general liability premiums, those are third party losses generally.
I'm sorry, but I have to go back.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry for not being more prepared.
It's just a ginormous jump, and I'm trying to figure out if it's premium driven or claims driven.
It would be claims driven. I'm sorry.
Claims driven.
Definitely claims driven and experience driven so far as the projection.
So like a slip and fall would come out. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but like a slip and fall would come out of
that is a good example.
That line, or somebody gets into an accident with a city vehicle, and
yeah. So yes.
What if it's not a personal injury? What if it's a discrimination claim or something like that? That would
Same.
So it's E&O is also in here.
It would be in this area, yes.
So that's all right. So general liability E&O.
It would definitely be on page 98.
Okay. I'd like to bounce then to page 39, the telephone administration. I don't know if you know anything about the phone system.
That's really one of my person's IT projects that.
Okay. So
that's okay.
So my question is probably better for
What's
IT.
your quick question? I'll let you know if I can answer it.
So it's a pretty significant bump, and I see from the backup documents that's driven by user community has grown, and then the general cost of telecommunications has increased. My question is
should be a switch to digital as well, which is more costly.
Okay, and our user community has grown. That just means the number of people that
Correct.
use it.
Yes.
Why is that driven by? We're hiring people to. Or
I don't understand that explanation. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing is we are switching to digital, and that is more costly. As we as you know, we started to bring public safety onto digital, and we're planning to take that across the whole city.
Okay. And finally, I think if we could jump to page 102, please, which is just general contingency expenses. A couple questions. I know comparatively to the whole budget, it's not a lot of money, but $50,000 in bank fees. Generally, what are we paying fees on?
Yeah, these we get account analysis, miscellaneous, fees for outstanding. And there's a lot of different fees that come through. I'm sorry, but I don't.
Are they more for? Do you think, generally speaking, are they more for services that we receive, or is it's not penalties?
No, it would be services.
Services.
It's all services.
Okay, that's okay. There's a substantial decrease in unallocated contingency. Are you comfortable
Yes,
with that?
because we've hired a payroll person. We've hired a number of positions. We've spent the money that we were planning to spend in IT. There was a lot of contingency in there for this year, and I built it out into the following years when we did the 5-year plan for Whittlesey type things, if you will, recommendations that they were making. And now a lot of those things, as well as the large increases that you saw in the salaries that you were asking about earlier, throughout the budget, were in that contingency line because we knew about it, but we didn't want to telegraph it. So
right now, you think that that because those expenses were incurred, and you planned for those added contingency, reducing the contingency for the next fiscal year to 860.
Yes,
is that you're comfortable with that cushion?
I am. Traditionally, we've had a $600,000 contingency. It still leaves some room for some of the things we know about. 1103 contract is up for renewal. Who knows what's going to happen with public safety, but I don't think there's enough in here if we get our pension plan passed that we're working on now. But I'm getting numbers on that next week, so we'll be able to.
And finally, the MARB line, the MARB expense line 56210. My two questions are: we pay money to be in MARB?
Yeah, I know. I'm embarrassed too.
Okay.
But so basically, there was $3.9 million that we told them we didn't want. That was in our award. We said we don't want to take any more of that restructuring money. That is a good thing because that's, as you all know, and Mayor's spoken about, one of the things that we can't do is take restructuring money if we want to get out of MARB. So it was a good move not to take it a few years back, and we continued to not take money from them. However, they had money assigned to the city, so what they've done is it was the weirdest transaction ever. They wrote us a check for $3.9 million. Actually, they sent it by wire. We had to wire it back immediately, and crazy state problem. But anyway, it's sitting in a fund, and they're spending that money, but we have to pay it back because we don't want to take restructuring. So they're paying for Whittlesey, they're paying for Protiviti, whatever else they think is necessary to help us get back on our feet financially and create strong, robust processes. They'll spend it, and then they'll send me a bill, and I'll pay them back.
Okay, so so we're basically just reimbursing them for costs. And
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
and the reduction of 250 or 150, you're comfortable that we don't see.
Yeah. So what I did there is that's the 5-year plan of what I would pay them back. I set out a plan to pay them back the $3.9 million over 5 years. If it costs that much, it costs that much. But what we do is we take that money and we set it in an account at the end of the year if it doesn't cost that much, so that we can pay for the next year. I haven't gotten their bill this year. Yes, that's what we're budgeting. So that's I think it's a good number.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Councilman Locks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Same page, 102, the line item below 56210, 556,000. HR pay outsourcing, what is that one? Down 20%.
That's our budget for ADP.
So it's going down 20%?
Yeah.
What's the rationale for that one?
Well, we actually brought it back to 2023 levels. There are a lot of special items that we paid for in the last couple of years
Okay.
that we're trying to get rid of. Hoping we can work that out, but we thought it would be a good goal.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Taylor, I just had a quick question. Item 56370 dog report. The actual expenses in FY23 were 0. Can you just give us a little summary of what that is and why the expenses have gone up?
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't record it in 2023, but we have to pay that.
Absolutely.
We collect the license fees and we have to pass them on, and this is
Right.
we record the revenue on the revenue side and we pay it on this side. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't get recorded there, but
Okay.
but that is a good number. We should budget that,
Okay.
and I actually have the 24 report on my desk, that somewhere on my desk.
Yeah.
It's just I can't get to it.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Councilwoman Callahan.
That's okay. Hello, David. Going back to Councilwoman Borelli's question about the dog report.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody pays a licensing fee for their dog,
Right.
and then we have to pay it back out?
Yeah, the state, we collect it for the state. We get, I can't remember what the economics are on it. I think we get like $1, but it costs way more than $1 per license to actually execute that transaction.
So
So we lose money on it.
So it costs us.
yeah, well,
us to have dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Councilman McMillan.
Good evening, sir. How are you? I'm just looking here at on page 99. Would you happen to know how many people here actually receive longevity pay? It's 51700.
I do not.
You do not,
It's all
okay.
based on union contract.
I do understand it's not based on the
Yeah.
union contracts, because I just see that there is a significant increase there as well, correct? We're at $50,570 this year. The projected is 86,691.
Sorry, I can't even see it. There it is.
Page 99.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually just kept it with the budget. We are expecting to pay 86, and we're going to go down to 81. We kept it with the prior year budget. We didn't. Sometimes the projections on here, they're based on like a straight line projection, and I didn't go back and look at every single one of them. I looked at more of the larger ones and said, okay, wait a minute, we paid all that already. We don't need to, project more for the rest either, et cetera. Whatever
Okay.
the case may be.
So would you know at
But
what
this was a smaller one. I didn't go back and say, there's going to be another one that's the other way on the projection. So I didn't work on that.
would you happen to know what the increase is, like, or should I say, what percentage they're receiving? Whoever receives longevity, is it like a 3%, 4%?
No, it's a flat number. It
Oh, flat
doesn't
numbers.
change.
Okay.
It doesn't change, and so that's why I feel comfortable with last year's budget and this year's budget and next year's budget being the same number.
Okay. Thank you.
All set?
Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? Chairman.
I got plenty.
Hi again. Since I'm brand new to the council, can you explain to me what debt servicing is, and then let me know how we're trending with that, and if anything's retiring soon?
Yeah, so debt service is a few pages back, and there's a nice, a nifty chart there. Where is that thing? There it is. 100 for those of you who might not be there. So our debt service is how we pay for those bonds we floated back in February and year and then after that. Before that, sorry. These are our payment amounts, and so that hits the current year budget. These numbers, we talked about Munistat and Bill Lindsay a little while ago as being part of my budget. We totally rely on him to provide these numbers for us. That's why we pay him. And you can see in here the 24 adopted budget, we thought we were going to spend $14.3 million. we're only going to spend 13.4 because of the delay in what we plan to do so far as our funding. We thought we would do that earlier in the fiscal year, say November, but it didn't work out, and we didn't go to market until February, which I think helped us a lot. By the way, we got better rates, we got the increase in our rating, et cetera, as you all know. So that was a win-win for us there, and so we're going to pay 13.4. The 14.88 reflects the increase because of the new bonds. Make sense? Yeah. The other piece I will tell you is we get the WPC at the bottom, which is the smallest number on the page. We actually get that back from them.
And how's the market
from the
right
sewer?
now?
What?
How's the market right now?
The market for bonds, I haven't looked at it, but I stopped being real interested after February for some reason. I don't know why,
Right.
but it was we really hit the dip. I mean, you couldn't have planned it better.
Right.
Bonds were falling. We went out and got funded, and the next day they just went up again. It's crazy.
And do we have anything falling off soon?
I'm sorry, the details aren't right in front of me. We have actually, I might have last year's charts. Maturity. So we have a 2012 bond. Oh, sorry. Let me start. We have some school bonds, fiscal 25, a 2010 bond that falls off in 25, a 2012 bond that falls off in 26. Two bonds, one for the city, one for the school, that are falling off in 2027. So, I mean, yeah, they're falling off all the time. You know, really, as we continue to do this, and if we get into a discipline of bonding every year so that we're not expending general fund monies, there should be bonds falling off just about every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Any net savings to those, or is this you just anticipate it's going to keep running at that rate?
Well, we had been in a pattern of reducing our debt service over the years, with the and this is all projection crazy stuff that I'm doing now with our huge capital program that I'm sure you've had a chance to look at the last few pages in the book, specifically and focused on WPCA, which doesn't affect our mill rate, it affects our sewer fees. There's going to be a lot of bonds to pay. It won't be out of this budget, it'll be out of the sewer budget.
Right.
There are also some other projects that are in there that are more costly than in prior years than when we put them in before. It doesn't spring to mind. I mean, there are some things in there for the actually one thing does spring to mind. We have moved the fire department's capital program onto the capital page, which I don't know why that wasn't there to begin with, but that's in there. So that's going to be now included in what we're looking at so far as bonding. There's a little bit of an increase over what we bonded this year expected in subsequent years.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dave. Thank you, Chairwoman Akbarali.
You're very welcome. Councilman Fargo.
I mean, that's a question in 7 minutes, so I was getting a little antsy. Sorry.
I thought you'd not at all.
If we can jump back to page 99, the employee benefits.
Yeah.
Am I correct that pension city share 54140 is just city workers, and then the pension police is just the police workers, so they're
So-
separated that way?
Well, it's almost because we
Okay.
do the 54140 is the 401k. So there are some police officers, sorry, that are included in there. The 54141 is purely the pension, and that's all police.
Are those for the legacy folk guys?
The legacy guys pre 2009.
Okay. Is there anything in this budget that presupposes MARB is going to agree
No.
to the pension.
No.
So there's no funding for
It,
that.
it's not in there. We are getting our numbers together so that we can look at that from a contingency perspective, also from a 5-year planning perspective. What that layering in might be. I sure hope it's less than $200,000 because I think I can cover that in the contingency.
$200,000 for the.
I think I can cover $200,000 a year in the contingency that I've got in there.
Okay. And that would be on a going forward
Correct.
basis. Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions for Mr. Taylor? Councilman Lux?
Thank you. Thank you. Can't talk. Thank you. The contingency of 200K, you're going to have those numbers available for the April 30th meeting, I assume, with Marb.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna
Didn't
have
they
them,
specifically ask?
I'll have them next week.
Okay. I would hate to be on that call and not have that.
I'll be sure to let you know.
Page 8. Sorry, I got to go back up there.
Page 8.
Page 8.
Yeah, looking at revenue.
Page 8. So non-current taxes, 4041 TBD. The 90,000 in revenue you're projecting.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling about that?
Yeah, that's I'm pretty good. It's totally the mayor's initiative to go after the out-of-state licenses.
Sure.
We all live here, and I'm sure you've all seen plenty of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York cars that don't leave the state, and it might be a little rich. I'm saying I wouldn't say that's a conservative number, but I've got a lot of conservative numbers on that page and the page below.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I hope you're
Under
promising, over delivering, or erring
Well-
on the conservative side when it comes to those values.
Yeah, well, that's the mayor's initiative, and
Yep.
she's really pushing that. She's also got a few others on here that I think are a lot more. I think we'll get a lot more money. It's possible that we could beat those. One of my conversations with her this week will be, okay, we're going to put 90 in 25. What do we think in 26, 27, 28, 29?
Right.
Because we're building out those budgets now.
Okay. Licenses and permits. So 9042. So it's 42210, 4220, and 42230. Building permits, electrical permits, vacuum. Everybody's leaving town. Excavation permits. How you feeling about those?
Very good. Economic. If you look at the trends that you're on that page, economic development, new buildings, and we know of projects that are in this plan that we believe will start. We're very close on a number of developments, and the building projects that have already started will continue to incur fees. I really think that that's a nice opportunity, and I'm really, that's another area where sitting down with Kathy and with Frank, not for long, Frank, but it'll be Lloyd talking about, okay, what else do you see on your radar? Who are the people that are coming in and talking with us about development? We're selling properties, and those properties are going to want to be developed. People are going to want to come in and improve them and turn them into income producing properties. So this is going to continue, and I feel like the $1.9 million, which is the biggest number in that section, is very doable.
I
We
hope
pulled
you guys.
you might notice that we pulled in 1.4 in 23. In 24 year to date, we're over $1 million. We've surpassed the budget already this month in 24, and the 1.8 was a number that 1.807 in the projection was a number that Frank was very comfortable with.
So you guys are feeling good about those numbers.
Oh, yes.
You're not telling the mayor what she wants to hear.
No.
Okay.
No, I feel very good about that. I'm very, maybe I'm very pro what's going on around here from a building and development. If you go to Sawmill,
Yep.
if you go down to Beach Street, if you go up to, you might not see it yet so much on Route 1, Boston Post Road, but there's big things planned.
I just, I just worry about, of course, being Mr. Black Cloud that I can be, that it's overly optimistic.
It's a $100,000 jump from the actual this year,
Yep.
and there's a lot of building planned, and this, we're not saying that we don't have really a budget in here, thinking that the Haven and that's going to be huge. I think that's probably going to hit in 26, potentially some building in 25, but we really didn't even talk about that when we put this number in here.
Okay. I don't want to steal the floor here, but can I keep going?
Yes.
So page 9, 43250, and then of course you got TBD. Those are others, 60 grand, 65 grand. I know those are also part of the mayor's initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
I guess are you feeling those are rich, or are we erring on the conservative side, or?
I think the blight liens is probably the most conservative number there, so far as ability for us to collect it. The task force that's been pulled together, I think, will really create something there. I'm hesitating because I would have loved to see some actuals.
Yeah.
At this point, they just got started. Unfortunately, I believe the potential is there. However, a very good potential. There was some. I don't think that was our. Never mind this. I think the state came down and fined some of those people pretty high too. So
Yeah.
And then the non-resident landlord. There might be. That might be another one of the more aggressive budget items in here, but it's entirely doable. Who knows? I think that's going to take a lot of legwork to identify these folks, but I'm sure that there are ways to do that.
44100 investment income, 82.11%. What's the rationale around that? What is that all about?
So I've been very careful on a daily basis to invest as much of the city's money in the highest interest rate allowable from the investment plan.
Yep.
This number is based on my projection of our average daily balances for next year at 4%. This year I'm earning 5%. So I feel like, I think if I've overestimated my balances, I think I may have underestimated the rates. Now the rates, I could fail on the rates. I can't tell you what's going to happen next year on rates, but I used 4% as my budget for 24, and we're killing it. In fact, we're over as you know, we've surpassed the budget already in February, and I feel pretty good about that number.
So it's average daily balance reinvested at 4%, and I'm assuming the vehicle is some sort of.
It's the state's short-term investment fund.
Okay.
That's the no risk way for me
Gotcha.
to put our money in somewhere that's on our allowed by our investment plan.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. It's also very easy. So.
And then last but not least, 46952, 46956. The ones that are jumping from up to 150% and 111%. What's driving that?
Yeah, so those percentages are based on the 24 budget to the 25 budget, and if you look at some of the actual results, you might say that the 24 budget was a little low. For example, on Parks and Rec, we pulled in 288,000, and we budgeted to 71. We've pulled in 152,000 and we're thinking we're going to pull in 152,000 this year. And so we've budgeted, sort of rounded it down to 150,000. And it's a similar comparison. We're pulling in 178,000 this year on general government. And so we kind of got a little conservative, went to 125 based on, we looked at trends over the last 6 or 8 years. for both of those, and we felt like that was a good number for 25 that we could live with.
Okay. This is just kind of a philosophical question. When it comes to like the insurance, and then I was kind of going through this, some of the other stuff. It looks like the mobile phone expense is extremely high and that sort of thing. Outside the budget, does the procurement function or you or anybody else sort of have a cost savings hopper for 2025 in terms of, hey, here's the opportunities, we're going to go after these A, B, C, D, and E, and is there like a plan for that, and like who drives it?
So we have a Rick Spryer was the guy that was put in charge of driving that, and we have our plan will be for that. We call them mitigation measures because that's the term that the MARB happens to like. We have a plan for that. We did submit it with a 24 5-year plan, and we will be updating that for the 25 5-year plan over the next week or two.
Okay. Who typically runs point on that? Who drives that stuff?
Well, Rick Spryer was.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we've had success. We've accomplished some of the things that are on there.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for now.
Second, Councilman.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just had a quick question. Based on miscellaneous parks and recreation, are those registration fees?
The the largest single item on there, 150,000 of it,
Yeah, I saw that.
was summer program fees,
Summer program fees. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr.
and that's
Mayor.
why the year-to-date sort of misleads you at budget time,
Right.
and that's why we budgeted so low last year because it's not coming in. What's
Yeah, there's
going
a big
on?
jump,
And then
yeah.
if you realize it, we didn't realize it at that time when I was doing the budget, my rookie year. So we were able to pick that apart and say, okay, what's going on here? When the software that they use over at Parks and Rec produced a really nice report, and I was able to see what was going on.
Oh, that's good. Excellent. Councilwoman Callahan.
While we're on this page, I just had a quick question about the dog pound releases. Can you explain that?
Dog pound releases.
On the bottom, page 8. Up 200%. What is the dog pound releases?
So that's our dogs being sent out. When somebody comes to adopt a dog, they have to pay a fee.
Oh, okay.
All right, and I'm sorry, but I don't know if that's a net number because we pay for spaying, and they might be paying for things that we then turn around and give to a doctor. But yeah, that's what that's for.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So again, if you look at that, when we budgeted last year, we budgeted $1,000, right? We've collected almost $6,000 this year. So, you might be asking me what the 100%, the 50% reduction is instead. It's like, we're just being conservative there, and it's a small. Gosh, if I get close to that thing, it gets very loud. It's a small revenue source, but that's what it's for. Mm-hmm.
All set, Councilwoman Callahan? Councilman Vargo.
Thank you. While we're still on this page, page 9, 44100, the investment income. Do you make those decisions, or do you consult a investment?
I make the suggestions.
Okay.
I don't need to consult an investment person because I only have one vehicle to invest.
Okay.
But I make suggestions. I send them off to Ron Quagliani. He asks questions if he has any, and together we make the decision to move money.
Gotcha. And then jumping up to page 8, the non-current taxes. Does the city still practice selling its tax liens?
Absolutely. Every year you'll get to participate in that pretty soon.
Do you have any sense of how much is going to be in the budget for 2025? Is that in the budget?
The sale of the tax liens?
For fiscal year 25, do you project a sale of tax liens within that budget?
We project the collection of the money, which some of it is most of it's from you and me. The rest, a small portion of it is the sale of the liens. So it would all flow through this line. We assume a 98.4% collection rate against our tax bills. And so therefore we budget accordingly.
That's not built into the tax
It's
the
built
tax
in
prior year, is it?
tax prior year. That's just the timing of collection. Taxes prior year. It's a little bit of a. There are so many elements there, and I would encourage you when Rachel Amasa is here to talk about tax collection. I think you have on our list. I think next week. I would encourage you to ask her kind of about what goes on there and the fluctuations. She's extremely knowledgeable in those things.
The reason I'm harping on this is because I'm very familiar with the tax lien process from a law office. We represent a lot of the purchasers. So I know that when the pools are purchased, they're usually fairly high dollar amounts, millions of dollars. I'm just curious how much the city projects that we will get either in FY24 or FY25 as a lump sum because we sold those liens. Are we looking at $1 million, a couple $1 million, or a few $100,000?
It will be. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what I budget on is what are we taxing, right? And we determine the mill rate based on our collection rate on what we're gonna get. Some you just don't get.
So selling the tax liens is based into the
Is
collection
part of
rate.
this.
It's part of the collection.
Part of the collection rate.
Okay. And then I think last the new out of state license plate for $90,000. Do you have an idea of how does that work? What's the process of do we spot a license plate that's out of state? We see it's not registered. Somehow we figure out that the residents or the drivers or the owners live in West Haven, and then do we send them a bill? Do we find them? Any idea what's the mechanism to generate the $90,000, and then how do we enforce it?
So the mechanism is with third parties who will go to our surrounding states and ask, and they have a way to determine where tax bills are sent from those surrounding states. If a person, for example, who has their car registered in the state of New York, receives their tax bill in the state of Connecticut, we'll find out about it that way, and then that third party will go after that, and alert us. I'm not sure what happens after that first time, don't know, but that's sort of the mechanism that gets it going.
Do you know if it's a because each word has a different meaning? Is it a fee? Is it a fine? Is it a tax?
There will be a fine, basically, or actually, let me think about that. It's a tax. It's the back taxes we're going after on there. So and that's why it's in the non-current taxes. So if that car has been in this state for the last 4 years, we're going to ask that person for that 4 years of tax that they owe us.
So if you find hypothetically you find a license plate, you determine that the owner receives the tax bill in Connecticut. It's a 2018 Corolla. They've lived here for 4 years. You're then going to the tax office is going to perform the calculation of each tax year, what the taxes would be on that vehicle, and send them a bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm sure it's way more complicated.
It's probably.
Mm-hmm. It's not my problem.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're very welcome. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Councilman Lux?
Thank you. In terms of what's that? In terms of technology for the city, has IT done an assessment of what like current needs are and that sort of thing? And
Yeah,
if they have you, is it budgeted in here?
Yes.
Okay.
You'll see most of it on the capital non-recurring page, which is like 119 or something like that. And you can see there, as well as the And if you want to see the projection for the next 5 years, you can find that on page 126. I should have taken you to 126 because that's a replication of what's on the capital non-recurring. Plus, it has the items that we plan to bond for. Do you see the yellow section there?
Yeah.
And this is all based on when things run out, when their life expectancy runs out, when contracts run out.
Is there anything that you're aware of that you need but hasn't been budgeted for financial reasons?
No.
No. Kind of off topic. When it comes to, this is the other thing I was thinking about in terms of the budget. In terms of, there's walking paths that our previous mayor put in place. One's over by Shingle Hill, one's off Platt Avenue. In terms of the maintenance to those parks, is that budgeted?
That would be within the Parks and Rec. I mean,
Okay.
that's a park. No, I'm sorry, DPW.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I should bring that up when I see those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be a great question to ask if he
Yeah.
thinks he has enough money to maintain all these new ARPA
Yeah.
park things.
Yeah. I would hate, I drive by them every day, and I look at them, I'm like, oh boy, they're already falling apart. It's like, is anybody taking that kind of preventive maintenance going forward? I mean, she did a good job putting those in. They're great. I mean, Milford's got them. A lot of towns have them. They're great to have. I was at Stratford's council meeting last night. They're doing it too. And I was just wondering if, there's money budgeted to make sure that, you don't have a mess up your hands 5 years from now.
Yeah.
I'll talk. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that we wonder about here. I mean, we're spending a lot of money on a lot of capital improvements. Are we going to be able to sustain it? That's
Yeah.
important.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All set, Councilman Lux?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Taylor? Absolutely. Councilman Vargo?
Almost. I saw you leaving. I'm like, no.
I was like,
Yeah, drop the mic and leave. I'm gonna ask you a very unfair question. Every month you give us a budget report, and it's pretty on target of where we are in the year, what we should be spending through the year. So I think that you've done a great job on keeping us on track.
thank you.
Are you good with this budget?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
you're
I've been honest with you tonight. There are some things where I think we're being a little aggressive, but I think I have some good conservatism built in here.
so you balanced out the.
I believe I'm balanced.
Are any of us balanced? Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Taylor? Seeing that there aren't any, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Taylor, for your presentation
welcome.
and for answering all of our questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it for tonight. We will recess until we reconvene tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.
Can I ask a question now that we're in recess?
Absolutely.
Hang on.
Did you want to close the meeting first? Well, I have a question
up-
about my presence on future nights.
We're going to stop the meeting then.
Yeah,
We're-
yeah,
We're,
yeah.
we're recessed.